And how about that? Just 2 people in the waiting room. Thanks. Looks like we are live. Progress. Roger, we're recording the meeting for you. So hopefully you can hear us and come off mute and as needed. Hey, Jeannie. See your thumbs up, Roger. All right, so it's 6:15. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:15. Thanks everybody for coming out. We've got an agenda. Members of the committee have it in your inbox. I'll just read through it quickly for people who are here. We've got organizational items. We've got a space for public comment, which we can flex and adjust as needed. Our regular topics include trail building update, a maintenance update, and in fact, Trevor, we've got your discussion right away.
Roger said I've seen it, but thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Then also conservation district grants topic. He's here to talk about that. And talking about budget, there's a grant from TPL. So what restrictions we have on needs of that, and one more item, I think it's duplicated here about funding for high value conservation projects. So that's what we've got to talk about. Is there anything else anybody wants to add to the agenda before we get started? Okay.
Hey, Gordon.
Hey, Roger. Oh, I see your hand.
Hey, just because I can't really see everyone and I don't have a clear view of everyone. Can we just for the record maybe have everyone state their name or pass a signer sheet around?
Yeah, I think we can probably do both. If somebody has got a piece of paper, Kate's got it. And let's just for the record, because Roger will be taking notes. If you don't mind, let's just go around once and just say your name. We'll just include everybody. So, Kate, if you want to start.
Kate Garvey.
Joe Cotton. David Holton. Trevor Core.
Marion.
Scott Curlin. Trevor Putman.
Gordon Young.
Jack Travelstead. Gabe Tempesta. Luke Hart.
And
Thank you all. Next item of business is discussion of the minutes from the last meeting. So members that have been in your inbox, was a brief meeting. I've looked over the minutes. They correspond to my recollection. Does anybody have any comments or concerns? Hearing nothing. Let's motion to approve. Fantastic. There's motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Committee members?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Aye.
Yeah. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. All right. Public comment, anything anybody wants to say aside from the discussion of the right of way? Anything else? Guess second call if you want to bring things up, but okay. Just done with that item. Trail building update. There's nothing to say in terms of trail building at this point, aside from the discussion about conservation work that we'll get to in due time. So I think we can move on past that agenda item. And the next thing is basically discussion of the right of way through Forest property. So,
Jack, I saw on the agenda that Jack was going to make some statements, but if not, I invited Scott and Marianne here because they have a much better history of this property than I do. Their current right of way is through my property and, anyway, they've dealt with this for a long time. So I'm kind of hoping that they could give a background on this and, what they've told me and what I've got records of makes sense to me. What's been proposed doesn't. So anyway.
Yeah, well, let's just. What we understand from Trust for Public Land is that they've done a lot of research and they stand by what they've got. At the same time, which, you know, certainly from my position, I think it speak for everybody in the town. We're interested in making things work out in a reasonable way. Nobody wants to you know, have conflict around this. So if there's so let's hear it all and see if we can you know, take steps towards coming to a reasonable agreement. And David, see your hand. I'm going to turn the floor over to Scott and Mary Ann, but is it, if it's just a quick comment, go ahead.
I think Luke sent me a drawing that showed the working roads going into that project, into the board area back in the 70s and the 80s.
Yep.
And you can pretty clearly see the roads. And they've come through.
I've got one from the 40s.
Okay.
So
Nice. Well, let's do
You
let's
got
talk
that
about the history because
Just let me back them up a little. This is what I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
It doesn't show them going through Cheddar Courts, and it doesn't show them going through Scott Furland's land. It shows them coming down up through what the record says Howlands. This is what Luke found, and this is what I'm seeing, and we're here. We've pretty much decided we want to back you folks up. Okay, we're not going to fight you.
Yeah, so
And we don't want any arguments and
that's it.
whatever. We're looking for right of way, but we're not going to push it on anybody that doesn't deserve it. We're going to be fair. Now we'll hear from you.
100%.
So that's what you want to know.
The only right of way there was, comes up through Howlands.
Mhm.
West hand corner of our property, it goes across just the corner and goes through 40 acres. That's the right of way they had to that 40
The
acres.
right way, the only right way is just a corner.
Just a
of
corner.
yours.
just a corner of your land, and so your land is if I'm trying to picture it in my mind.
That makes sense.
It's the parcel essentially adjacent to Trevor's.
Oh, no. It's our property is Trevor's is on the southern part of our property. This is the northwest corner.
So what you're saying is that where that right of way goes through is on the opposite end of.
Right.
It's nowhere near mine.
It's where you're proposing the right of way. It ends up there, so that corner. Not starts there.
But it ends up.
It ends there. And that's the only right of way to that lot. And the reason that Cliff did that is because he was using that through Young's, probably relative of yours. And when there's a Christmas tree plant,
Yes, that
And
could
you
have
know
been my
this,
grandfather.
that he was using that as his right of way. And so that's what we did for a while. And then Howland bought the property and he says, no, there's no deeded right of way for you up through here. He said it had to have been a verbal right of way between Young and Collette.
Did Howland claim he had a deeded right of way?
Howland said there was no deeded right of way across his property for us.
What was there for Bourne, the now Bourne parcel?
No. Just on our corner. The whole right of way that's on the map is just right around the corner. From his property, around our corner, to Young's property. So it's all on our map. The whole of the right of way that he gave, because he couldn't give it onto to Young's property. It only went to property of Young. Property line.
Sorry, I can get confused and feel slow about this. Yeah, so who are the people you're talking about that gave the right of ways?
That's that, the person he bought our 40 and 60 acres from.
Okay. So he gave a right of way on the corner that connected up to the access point that was coming across my
Right.
own property, which probably my grandfather sold to Bill Holland. And
So do you know if there was a right of way across that?
I don't know if there was or wasn't. I would have been I wouldn't have been full grown.
So what I did for the town is I plotted that right of way on a GPS unit, and then I walked it, and I called the surveyors who were hired to do it. And that's Little River. And that's Little River Survey out of, they're like, on the way to Stowe on the corner there. And what they told me is that there was a right of way swap. That one access was swapped for another access, the one which crosses Langaren, goes on to Corp, and then goes on to Fern. All right. And I walked it, and there's some issues there. And the thing is the survey is purely an interpretation of the deeds. You can have 5 different surveys that don't agree, right? And to interpret a deed on the ground, you need a license. So or you need to be a landowner. So I would assume that the townspeople are landowners, right? So we can look at this stuff and we can critique it. And it seems to me like there's some serious gray areas, and Trevor's brought up some glaring stuff. And I've been kind of going through my head in different, cases I've dealt with in the past. And, there is something known as overburdening a right of way. And it's oftentimes inferred that a parcel has a right of way to lands beyond it that was not originally conveyed access over that land. So say, I bought 25 acres here with a right of way, and then I bought the adjacent parcel, which is 100 acres. Me accessing that 100 acres through that 25 acres would be overburdening that right of way. But that's not always pushed. Sometimes surveyors will plot that and just say it's so until it's challenged. And that's the only logic that I can see is followed to come up with this right of way across the court.
The other thing that, and please both of you correct me if I'm wrong, but when Alan said, no, there's no right of way there, you both needed to access that property. And part of that was going to the Ladgey's property to try to access through there, at which point they were told there was no access through there.
That was Berlin owned it at that time.
Okay, it was Berlin at the time, but same right away. And so that same right away that is now proposed to get to the or to the town property was they tried to access to get to their own property, and they were denied, which is why their right of way is now through what is now my property to get to their property. And so my question is, if they were denied access to their own property, then why now is there suddenly access through my property, their property?
It's the logic to me.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And on top of that, prior to any of this conversation, they received a letter from the Bournes saying that the Bournes had acquired, and there's documentation of this. I think it was a quitclaim deed. They bought the right of way through the Ladgey's property, which did not guarantee them that that right of way continued any further than the Ladgey's property.
No, it's written very weird.
Yeah, it is. And they wrote a letter to the Merlins saying that they were going to take action on their right of way and proceed through the Furlands property. I was never contacted at that point, and that right of way had to traverse my property as well.
Yeah.
No action was taken at that time.
They're cardinal abutters anyway, so they meet like this.
Right.
So it's impossible.
Right.
It's all on your land.
This is why when this all came to light, it made almost zero sense to me. Because even when the Ladgey's acquired, when that was subdivided and the property, the house that's now up there was built, I sat in on that zoning meeting and I asked the question, I said, because the right of way was on there at that point, and I said very clearly, does this right of way stop at the end of his property? And the answer I was given was yes. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, this comes up, and I even talked to Tom Martin. When they received the letter, I called because I was concerned. And Tom did some research and couldn't find anything saying that there was any right of way through my property or theirs.
Yeah, be in somebody's chain.
Yeah, so, but Mary Ann's got a ton of documentation going back.
Back to when there was the Billings farm originally. Because my husband's uncle was the one that gave the deed of the right of way to Wolcott for our property. It was 100-acre lot. And so it is in the deed line that we did have a right of way. But Malone told us no, there was never a right of way, and there never would be. But he had already bulldozed it over and moved his driveway in another place.
So this is the Bourne parcel now?
No, this is where the
A-frame.
A-frame.
Okay.
And he told us that we would never go through there. And I says, well, if you don't want us to go through there, give us another spot where we can go through and get to our property. And so we did. And by doing that, we had to give up the old right of way, the original one. And we did.
So that's the document that Little River is hanging on. Because they're saying it was swapped. It was one, but that was you guys. That wasn't Bourne.
Right.
That had nothing to do with it.
That was the swap between the right of way that they currently have through my property and the original.
That's our deed. Think that,
But Sim used to own that property
yes.
where he lived. Sim owned it when we got it.
Okay.
We had to right away in first. And then Sims bought the property and built the house. And it worked.
Build your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we gave up the right of way before your property was when their Stims bought it. After our right of way was in there when he bought the property and Simpson bought the property.
Okay, let me see if I got this. So there was there was a right of way presumably across the property that's now the Howland property.
These are two different ones we're going. We're going from the one from the Billings spot. That's the one, that's where the A-frame is.
Okay.
And then you're down on across from Stub Russell. The Howland one.
The Howland one is across from Stub Russell. Okay.
Yeah, and it's still there.
It's, no, yeah.
The road, the road is still there. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes right up to his camp there.
Yeah, he's still loaded. It's been cleared this year.
All the way up through, you go all right to there, right up
It goes right
to,
on.
right up to the corner of our property.
Huh? And he's snow bloated or.
It's cleared this year. He just did it recently.
This map here shows that, and it was done in.
Okay, so that was a right of way that existed, but it's contested.
Well, because I suppose when they surveyed it, that there was a break in the woods, a path. So that's why they might have done it that way when they did the map. So
They left the right of way off or?
No, they put it in.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
mean. So there had to be a break in the woodlands or whatever.
So you have an old map that shows that right?
Yeah, it shows it property and there's a mark on the back showing that right away.
Okay, so now, I know we've been over this. I'm just trying to, play it back in my mind and so that it will stick in my memory, hopefully. So that was what you've always understood was your right of way.
Well, that's what Code told us that was his right of way because that's what he was using. And I guess he had an agreement.
Okay. But then when Howland bought the property, maybe, and I don't know if Howland bought it from my grandfather or.
We bought it from him, so.
Yeah, okay, so that would have been, yeah, and who knows what happened, if the right of way was evidently wasn't acknowledged.
I don't, I never checked it. I checked everybody else, but not this.
Okay, and Bill Howland says it's not there.
He said there's no deeded right away.
Gotcha, okay.
That was used until But 2 years after Howell bought it, we were still using it, and then he kicked us out.
And he all of a sudden.
But that was always used, I'd go to our camp and everything up that road.
Okay, okay. So,
Good for
so then when he said, when he kicked you out, essentially, then you went to the other two,
At the time.
and say the name again?
Vernon.
What's now Ladges?
Okay, and they said, okay, you can have a right of way.
No,
No.
he said no, no
Oh.
way.
Latches bought that from Berlin at that
No, they
time.
did not. Because someone else bought it between that.
Okay,
Okay.
but it was after Berlin had sold it, because I think that's what was surprising, that was,
yeah.
that it was never found in a title search that there was a right of way going through the front lawn.
Cause it's really
Oh, you
well.
go back.
And so I think Berlin had already sold the land when you approached, it, as I remember it.
No, he was still
But
living.
it was Berlin, okay.
He was still living there when he did that because he went in, and then after he sold the lot where our right of way is now, then he moved and sold everything then.
So Berlin said no to you guys.
He said there was never a lie there and it's never gonna be. And
Okay.
I said, well, I found in the deed that there is, and it's been there since. Ever. And I
Okay,
said, so he realized that he was wrong because he did give us another.
okay, so he gave you guys a way to get there, that's what you've been using.
Yeah, another
Yes.
40,000 more to put a road all the way through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So he gave you an alternative route to the one that was deeded?
If he didn't want us going, opening up the other one that he had destroyed, that we would take another bit.
Okay,
okay.
interesting, yes.
That was all trees all the way up through there.
Oh,
We
yeah,
had
there was-
to
it was-
Yeah.
cut it all and gravel it, culvert it all the way to
That's a lot.
all the way to our camp.
That's a lot of work.
No road anywhere, even on our property.
Yeah.
We had a road going the other way to camp, so then I had to put a road all the way through there to get to camp.
So that little cabin that was next to the pond on the Bourne property, so how was that accessed?
How long?
So that was the
How?
original 40 acres that was
Okay.
on our lot. And then Howland would have had to go on to that lot. That's where the 40 acres is where that.
Okay, so that pond was 40 acres, it was originally on your parcel.
Yeah, to make the.
Okay, gotcha. Mhm.
Okay,
My father had an arrangement with Bourne's, the wood lot up there, they kept that road open
Okay,
to access the wood lot. So that's, and the road is still pretty much there.
So he was accessing it through the Howland program.
Yeah, and a corner.
That's one on the ski place.
Yeah, my father done it.
Okay.
Yeah, he had,
Oh, yeah, he sometimes uses for ski.
he used to use it for skiing up there.
Yeah, and we used your property, but
You know, he had,
we used what was Trevor's was
Yeah,
ski trails up
I
there.
see that as a kid.
once you went through the woods, you went on our property. And that's the right of way that, from Howland's to ours and to the 40 acres.
Right, but that's how the right of way, the access has been kept
it's always
open.
been, and that's the access it goes up to that, through the Hamlin's property.
Right,
And,
and down to the cliffs.
okay, so that's the yellow house, what's the name of the book? Like where the right of way comes down, maybe this tells me.
No house there.
It doesn't.
yeah, right away.
Like well, across.
Well, it's Jim Russell now.
Yes, okay.
It was Russell's.
Stub Russell.
Jim.
Jim Russell. Yeah, sort of drive by it and the house is almost right across from where the right of way goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, well, and so part of the right of way, the Jim owns the field in the front. Howland's doesn't start until the wood line at the top of it.
Yeah.
And they got a stone wall, it's just line.
So it's two properties that right of way goes across, the Russell property and then the house.
Gotcha.
The other thing I wanted to say is that the right of way that's proposed on the town forest that points to 27-180. they have documentation from when they tried to attain the right of way through what's now the Ladgie's property. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's from a law firm in Stowe stating that they did extensive research and that, which is why I think why they were denied right away, that what this 27-180 points to is not at all the right of way through the Ladgies, but instead the right of way through the Howlands. And so we've got that on paper. I tried reaching out to them. They were willing to talk to me at first. And then when I asked them further details, I didn't hear back from them. I don't know what, I mean.
This is the law firm.
The law firm, yes. And they're still active, but the original lady that was involved in it since retired. But it lays it out pretty straightforward that from her research, what that right of way points to is not at all the right of way through Ladgie, but instead the one that goes through the Howlands property, the one that they've been saying they were using originally and then were kicked off of.
So you're saying we do have a book and page for this right of way?
You may, but it's not through our properties.
That'd be the right of way through the Howland property and the Russell property.
Yeah, because I think that was the original right of way up to that cabin and everything else originally.
Yeah, so you substantiate that by running your mates and bounds, and there will be calls, legal calls within those mates and bounds. So legal call would be, Stonewall intersection, something that can be recreated.
Yeah.
And
When you say meets and bounds, that means stuff you see on the ground, or you
mates and bounds would be, north 20 degrees west, 4 rods.
Okay.
And then you plot up, stop. And then the next
So
one is
you read it off of paper in the deed, and then you go out and
you plot it out. Yeah.
and walk it out. Okay.
This map is the book and page numbers.
Super. Yeah.
And not to try and throw anybody under the bus, but it seemed to me that when the Borans owned this, they were very eager to get up there. And I think their purchase of the right of way through the Ladgie's property, I don't know, I have no idea what that involved, but there's documentation that it occurred. I think that was their attempt to find a right of way up through there. They got to the edge of the Ladgie's property, and then somehow that left-hand turn got drawn on the map that then headed across the borders. That's all I can see, because it all of a sudden seemed to appear.
The right of way that got through their property, it states that you've got a 50-foot right of way onto their property for entrance and exit. That's it. No place, which way direction to go in or anything. That's it. Doesn't mention that they're using the older right of way as coordinates or anything. So basically they drive on, drive back off.
An ingress egress right of way.
That's it.
Yeah, you just can't maintain it, but it's an ingress egress right away. You can get there.
And
If you need a bulldozer, that's what you can use, but you
Yeah,
can't like ditch
they're
and
not that long.
culverts and such.
But
And that's what's written up as the deeded right of way on your property, or?
no, that's what they were trying to get it from the A-frame. They got that for that property, that they can go on it and off.
But just that property.
Just that property.
Right.
So I mean, and because I can't.
Which according to what I'm looking at here, doesn't get you anywhere.
Doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't even get you onto my property.
Yeah. Because the A-frame is completely surrounded by ledges, right?
I was told it was swapped because of terrain. Simple as that. Because the Howland one, it was too steep. And then, that's it. I was looking at the license lines and it didn't look too steep to me. I think people were just confused and short on time and money
Ride a bike up it.
and just pushed the survey out.
No.
Yeah.
So So what it sounds like is, whatever Research Trust for Public Land did, interesting, but, it's very confusing and must be, historical access has all been across the Howland property. Why that didn't show up in paperwork, who knows?
I've got a map, which is so confusing. It's, shows our right away,
Your new driveway.
right? It's going to our property all the way from the road, the main road there. And the way they have built up the coordinates on it, instead of them to put in the coordinates for you, your northern coordinates are on here. Ours aren't. So looking at the map, the bottom of our property becomes the northwest line because of the line that's right at the bottom of our property.
Uh-huh.
But it should be.
And it should be above our property somewhere. So if you look at that and you want our northwest line, you've got it on this map. Goes right across the bottom of our property.
As the right of way is basically.
No, this isn't, this is just a map.
Oh,
Is that map cited in a deed or right of way?
Yes.
So you're saying to interpret that deed, you need that map?
No, this is wrong on the map.
Yeah, but is the deed citing that? So therefore the deed is recreating that error?
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but why did we do it?
And it's just, things get confusing. It might be a cloudy day and his compass stuck. And you thought that was, who knows?
But I mean, it is a right of way for his property, his northern property side. But it's the
Yeah,
southern.
it's correct on my property, but it's
It's on-
very
it's on-
confusing for theirs.
And according to this, is it just that one line? And you look at it, and I think that's maybe what some people are going
So-
by, is they're getting to that northwest west corner they want to get to by reading this map.
so let me see if I'm understanding right. The map shows right of way on your property.
No, no, it's just the coordinates. On here, this is map.
So what it's showing is their new right of way through my property.
And it goes onto.
Okay,
This is our city,
okay.
but they have the northwest, and northeast here,
Mhm.
and that should
And so,
get there.
and so this is
That's.
your
correct.
driveway.
That's my
and-
driveway.
And then,
That's it,
and then this is the right of way. And.
right,
Right,
but
okay.
this hasn't anything to do with our property, that northwest line.
Okay.
That is our southern line. And if you look at the map and you say, oh, I've got this right away through where the A-frame is, I go right up through there and go and get into that northwest corner the way I want to. Because it's
By
right
going
there.
through by the A, no,
No, right here.
This,
The A-frame is here.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the A-frame,
Okay.
that's the problem.
So this gets you across Trevor's property,
Right.
that's to where you want to go.
This is new.
Yeah,
But the old one that
okay.
they want to get is here. No, here.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay,
But here is where the A-frame is.
gotcha.
And this is their northwest line here, and this is Trevor's northwest line. We're here.
Yeah.
So if they come up here and they see, oh, that's a northwest line of their property. There's their entrance to the property, because that's the deed from the one that's on this corner.
And the original Howland right of way was on the northwest corner of
Yes.
their property.
Yes, and that's why they think that they did this map that way.
So I think that was the confusion to start.
Because this was done for Bourne's.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so what matters here is the difference between these lines, the angular relationship. That's the only constant on a survey map. All these, like that, the standalone quadrant bearing is totally irrelevant.
I know,
That could be all
and I
over the
know
place.
these are horizontal lines, they're parallel to each other. But normally a surveyor doesn't do this. I mean, they would have both the orientation.
No, that's a.
This is from, I think, Mike Green gave me this when he first did my current use program on my property. And this shows my property. This is that right away that goes through the Latches, which ends right there. This is what I believe the Berlins and you. This would have been how you were getting up through from down here. This is it doesn't show the driveway because it's from the 40s, but this would be my property here.
Okay.
So you're up here
Mhm.
and this is the Ladgies up to the corner of my property. I believe this is what you folks were originally using to access your
This
property.
is where you,
It's somewhere around the 40s. It was what Mike told me.
it would be a farm. Is this a farm?
Looks like it, looks like the row crops there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a farm, right?
And you can kind of see, I mean, it,
Yeah. So was this right of way bumped twice? So it was get out of here once, get out of here twice, and now you're over here?
No,
No.
no, just the one.
Side
Just
40
once.
was, you could use the lower one by the. Yeah, the Ladgies, you could do, that's the way we were going up to there.
Okay.
No,
they
we
made
never
an
went.
attempt here.
On the day trip, we never.
Never even got it.
We never used to.
It's one down in the field.
Yeah, down by the house.
Oh.
Russell's, yeah.
I think that was part of the problem with going to Berlin's, was like that right away was long gone.
But yeah, he had.
No, not really. It was just a lawn.
Well, he's got, you know.
It was a lawn.
He was trying to sell the house, it was a lawn.
We're trying to sell
The
it.
right away went right up in front.
He did it on purpose way back when he first bought it. He must, he bulldozed it right away because he hired the guy across. Oh, yeah, to do that. But he told me that he said he hired me and I went up there and did it. So I mean,
So if we want to get to the town forest, negotiating with Howland seems like our best bet to be able to get in there.
good luck.
There's a road right there.
The roads are.
This is the map.
Does he live there?
I know
Yes,
he's a
it can.
camp.
He's up there quite often.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah, he was there.
This
I
is,
saw it,
this
yeah.
is here. This is the right of way that goes through the stone wall. This is Howland's. And this is the right of way that goes on.
So there would be there's two properties.
Yeah.
Because it just like that, it comes up here and goes just on the cross ours and right onto there.
And it's just.
But they did put a road in there to the left, you don't even have to go on ours now.
Yeah,
They put it right up to us, it didn't even go on it then, 'cause
Didn't you have a written piece of paper from way back that said something about allowing,
Okay,
that there was a walking right of something, I'm not remembering entirely, but there was something stating that there was access to it.
and we can't go off our 70 acres onto any parcel
that's on that right of way that we have.
on his.
We're not.
You cannot go on any,
Off
can't go on his,
anywhere.
off the back and go on Lawrence, and go on the other one,
Oh, sure.
and not go out.
So you're limited from overburdening that right.
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 Yeah, so they,
We can go.
okay, so
We
they
can't
cut
go to that
to the
one.
chase. Yeah,
It said right on there.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I say we need to have a second look at how simple as that. You know, go through that chain and
I think that's gonna be a problem.
And find it.
He wasn't,
yeah, once we might have to hire a certain.
yeah.
This is to state at the time I sold to Conrad and Marianne Berlin, my right of way, quote, right of way unquote, was a road off the upper side of Reynolds Russell's house? Yeah, okay. The upper side of Reynolds Russell's house. I used that road for many years. It ran by the big. It ran by her home up through the field and through a gateway in the stone wall. The stone wall was okay. It was on the line. Yours truly, Clifford.
That's wonderful stuff. Yeah, that's great.
1993.
Is that on file anywhere in the town or is?
She's just the place I've seen it.
Okay.
Hold on.
But I would say that if you start looking at this, maybe
Yeah,
there's a lot of knowledge here.
Definitely a wealth of knowledge here. That's clear.
Yep.
Yep.
Which is why I wanted them here
It's
because I
wonderful that they
couldn't.
came. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who the lawyer was in Stone? Was it? Yes. Seth Holden?
Might take me a second, but I definitely got, you might have it quicker.
Right away.
Yeah, Nichols.
A nickel, I have started.
Right. So this was, but this, what this is saying, remember this one?
That's a different.
Well,
This is the actual deed, easement deed.
okay. But this is the one I was discussing that I believe happened when the Furlings tried to get the right of way through what's now the Ladgie's property. And this lawyer did the research and said there is no right of way through there. What is cited on row right away 27-180 is actually on the Howland or, you know, the other property. So I think that right away was misinterpreted to start
That
with.
makes sense.
Help me understand what you're referring to when you say 27-180. That's numbers on this.
This is the Wolcott Town Forest map.
Book 27, page 180.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the transfer from PPL to the town.
It goes way further
No,
back.
that would be from Howland to Bourne, I believe. Whenever that right of way was deeded outside of the Howland chain.
It may have even been further back than that because
Even better.
it's a handwritten. deed.
Okay, oh, well,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay, so
Lawyers are good at reading those.
27-189 is book and page for the Howland purchase or
The Howland conveyance. Yeah,
okay. Which would or would not have been Bill Howland's conveying it, or would have been before he purchased the property.
Yeah, he bought it, yeah.
Yeah.
geez, yeah.
Am I,
Actually,
I'm asking,
That's
but
it right there.
can I see?
Yeah, absolutely.
So book 20, and that we, Marianne Ferland and Jean Ferland, I can read that.
That was my husband's uncle and the soul, they owned the Billings farm at that time.
Uh-huh.
And they're the
And
ones
the
that.
Billings farm is now
Where
the
they-
Russell,
Is the A-frame.
is the A-frame? Okay, okay. So Ferland's owned the A-frame, and this one is granting the right of way from on the A-frame property, which is the right of way that got bulldozed and made into lawn. Okay, so this one doesn't have anything to do with the Howland property.
No, this is the other one, the one comes off from the,
So maybe I'm mistaken on that.
Okay,
the deed to the property. Yeah.
is that, are those the same? No, those are,
It's the same one.
is it? Okay, just a different copy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 180 or the 27-180 doesn't have anything to do with the Howland property. And so we're still in a position that we don't know if there's any paperwork that substantiates a right of way across the Howland property. But what we do know is that there's piles of evidence that's cast doubt on any other right of way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you give up a right of way, does it go off the books? They take it off the books.
Depends who gives it up.
The owner of the right of way.
Um,
I'm gonna move over here. Don't need to.
Because when we got the new right of way, we gave up the old one. We had to agree to it, and it's in the deed that we gave it up.
yeah,
But that's still the one across and I'm gonna mess up the names, the one that your uncle
Right.
granted when they owned the Billings farm. So you gave up that one, but that one is not the, it's not one that was across the Hellman property.
Oh, no.
Whatever may have, what I'm getting, if I'm understanding this right, is all of this doesn't have anything to do, doesn't say anything about what might have been across the Howland property, or what's in
No.
paper. The facts on the ground are you were using it, until Bill Howland said you can't use it anymore for whatever his reasons and with whatever justification he
That
had.
was 85, maybe we used to tell.
Okay. So from the town perspective, it seems like if we want to push the point, which, at this point, I don't know why we would want to, but at the same time, like, speaking on behalf of the town, I have to be thinking about all the future and just taking it into consideration. If we wanted to push the point, we have to either look at all of this stuff and get it sorted out, and based on what I'm seeing here, there's it doesn't look very hopeful that we'd be able to find anything there. Or we maybe are able to find something that points, gives us a paper trail to a right of way that goes across the Howland property, or we don't have a right of way into that, that accesses the town forest on that side.
Well, it might be an ingress egress right of way. And we found out, we know the path of travel because of orthophotos.
What does that mean?
That's just like come and go,
Okay, so you're not able to actually establish it, but you can use it? Is it?
you can just cross it. You can't maintain it. You can't
Gotcha.
I don't think you can even plow it. You can just go through.
What if there's trees? I mean, growing up,
Well, that blocks your ingress and egress, so you can cut the trees.
you can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that give them permission to, the one that Warren's got would have been this right away that we gave up. The one that is, just for egress. And can they can't cross onto your property? Darby's property with that right away, since it wasn't right away years ago?
I think Luke's talking about an ingress. I can't even say it.
Ingress, egress, yeah, it's just coming
Through
through.
Howlands, right?
That's, that's,
Okay.
yeah.
But the other question was, do they are you able to give us what Warren got to deed? That one, that Warren's got.
Well,
It sounds like,
yeah.
it sounds like what Bourne had, I'm not sure I'm following all of all of these details, but it sounds like what Bourne had relied on a misunderstanding or bits and pieces of all the stuff that you're looking at. And the picture I'm getting in my mind, or the assumption that I'm making, is that, TPL was talking with the Bournes. Bourne said they had a right of way. TPL went and looked at whatever paperwork they've got, and
Yeah, I agreed. From what I saw, I do believe Orange has an established right of way through the Ladgie's property, but it ends at my border of the Ladgie's property. Because from what I found,
across your property,
Never-
in your property.
right, so
But
to where you couldn't get any further, up where they're building.
Yep.
And there's a pile of dirt. I think that is the end of what Orange originally.
I'd say so. Yep.
And I think there was an assumption, or I don't know, I don't want to make an assumption, but I think whatever happened after that, I don't understand where it came from.
Well, I think the logic would be that there's a right of way going to the Furland parcel, which was once part of the Bourne parcel.
Yep.
Therefore, they, have rights, but we've already discussed that, and there's been precedences set before where it's considered, overburdening the right of way, but that's not always called into question. So.
Warren's believes they had the right of way with this deed, because they actually went on our property and they did some.
The ribbons all the way up through it, so they're up right away right through here. He says,
Yeah.
So these folks have been dealing with this for way longer than I
I
have.
told them to get off and don't come back, and they never did. Cause they figured we'd just give up and give it to them.
They sent a warning that they were gonna go up and do it, because they got the right. What was it?
That's probably around the time they tried to get it right away from my parents' property too. I wonder if it was,
It was when they bought the 40 acres, they tried to, right afterwards, they come up and marked it. And I said, you know, you might as well get out of here right now. Don't come back.
The funny thing is that Scott was nice enough to let me walk his property, and I found that pond and that cabin, and I looked into the town information at the time, and I was like, that's a neat piece of property, but it's landlocked. And so I didn't even look into it because of that. And then all of a sudden Barnes acquire it, and somehow there's a right of way to it. So
So,
when did Borns buy it? That call.
I had one now, it's Bosch joined to two other lots that Bourne's had. And it just went around the corner. Why you ever bought 40 acres? I
So
don't
when
know.
did they buy the 40?
wasn't that long ago.
No.
It was after you moved in?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was, you already moved in.
Yeah.
Okay, it was.
the 40 acres is that odd shaped piece that.
Right.
Yeah, it's got the pond and the cabin on it.
Yeah, there's a little snack that goes out to.
That you had,
Okay.
that was the move everything off on.
They
On
bought
wood.
it in 2008.
Yeah, they've been in the cabins.
2008, and then 2010, state of Vermont passed the landlocked law, which a parcel cannot be conveyed if it's landlocked. And the select board actually has the right to lay out the least cost path, via butter. So if you have to go over Dale and through the woods, well, that's how you have to go, but you can still cross your neighbor's parcel. You know, that's kind of how that works. But now, since it's connected to a larger contiguous parcel, I don't think that would stand, because there's,
They had,
it's still, now there's access, even though it's from down here.
right.
Yeah, that's the easiest way going down below, because the road's right there. Ours ain't no road to your 40 acres.
And they said they were the right way there. It's a beautiful stone wall, and it's been there for 100 years.
She did, it goes like this,
Yeah.
where they wanted to
It's
put it.
ledge.
Oh, sure.
And it goes like this, and along the line, that's where they marked the road, right away.
Well, so, you know, we're not necessarily looking to get in there in the immediate future. There's, you know, reasons why we may want to get to different places for, you know, conservation, logging kind of stuff that we've been talking about. But, you know, I think, I know TPL will be concerned, because I think they represented that they were conveying this parcel to the town with the right of way, and you know, we'll
When they bought the property, they were supposed to have been right away with it.
yeah, that's right.
You basically have two though, right? One down here and one.
Yeah, there's some background that been.
There will be ways we can get there, because, you know, with Tony Smith's property becoming part of the forest, that's, you know,
Yeah,
that
right through it.
make this road
You have a
coverage,
third
essentially.
century too, because you were given some property about his property on the Elmo Pond Road.
Yeah, that's.
That joins to Bourne,
Yeah.
and the second unit goes to
Goes over around,
48,
connects everything.
and that connects right to the straight shot right through.
Yeah, not necessarily convenient for, you know, for doing forest management stuff, but it is a long haul.
Yeah, but you can log right in here.
Yeah.
Because Terry went right up and touched the snowmobile trail, so
Yeah.
you ain't much farther.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you possibly could go onto that property that you have been given? And use that for your trail?
Tony Smith's property.
Yeah.
For access. I mean, absolutely, I think.
You're going to need a parking space.
Yeah,
You could put a parking space right in there, use the house for his welcome center,
yep,
and set it all up that way, and you'd have something in the trail doesn't have.
This could be a little buffer.
yeah. No, these are definitely things that we're talking about. And so at this point, Tony Smith's property is, and so I'm not sure if it's been conveyed to the town already.
Not
or-
yet.
Not yet. Okay. So it belongs to Northern Rivers Land Trust, but, all discussion has been that the house will be sold separately.
The house has been sold.
Has been sold.
Yes.
Okay.
It was on the
And,
market for about a week
and,
and has been sold with 2 acres. And then what's left will ultimately be given to the town to add to the forest. That's probably a year away, I
okay.
think.
Okay. And, there's obviously many things can happen over the course of a year, but I know that, some of the things that have been discussed have included, trail building. And, providing access. And, as part of that, our concern is to, be good neighbors, essentially. Trevor, we've spoken many times. and-
Yeah, no, and you've all been supportive. My hope is that I can come here for other reasons than right away discussions.
Yeah. No, this, from my perspective, this is good discussion. It's we're talking about stuff. Nobody's making a mess in anybody else's yard at this point, and nobody's angry at anybody else. And we're in a good place to be able to work things out as we need to. That's
We're
that's about the most precious.
We're looking for more. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. No, I'm interested and I actually support this. As I've said a number of times, I just, when something doesn't look right, I've got to call it out and it didn't look right. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, I think we've gotten as far as we can get tonight.
Yeah.
Right? We're not trying to get, to establish right away and bring equipment in or anything like that.
No.
So it's not a pressing concern at the moment. And we do have other ways we can get there. And if it becomes a concern, we know that we've got to deal with all of this, as compared to whatever the Trust for Public Land has for the warrants. And it's going to be, best case scenario, it's going to be a mess, and we're going to want to do something other than try and deal with all the paper.
Yeah. I'm just curious, has there been any outreach to the Laggies at all on this? Because I do believe that you may now own a right of way in their property. Yeah. But I'm just curious has anybody talked to them? Like, do they agree with that?
Yeah, I met up there with, one of the brothers, I guess. Andre. Yeah, they were
Never met
they were
him.
nice to deal with. Yeah, we walked the right of way up the line.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Lagis is the parcel around the A-frame?
I think she owns.
Oh, yes.
Yep. Reason, I think she's from California.
California.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a 4-acre parcel that was subdivided up by me.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Lane Garen's, not just. I wondered who Lane G sort of.
Okay, so Lagis, right away across Lagis doesn't get us, it gets us.
You come up and wave to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can wave to you across Langaren's parcel.
Yeah.
And we can bump into the southern edge of the Howland parcel. But it still doesn't get us, it doesn't get us even to your parcel, much less up to the Bourne parcel.
But would it get us to Howland's?
It goes to Howland's too. Howland,
Yeah.
borders there too,
I mean,
Yeah, but you wouldn't need.
but you don't want to go that way now.
instead of being on your property, perhaps he would allow us to put a right of way
The other side.
down the hill from your property and go across his, so that we don't go up through the middle of his property up the road that's already there. Maybe that,
Yeah, so you'd have to get the Lane Garen still let you go right through
He only borders.
the front of theirs.
Short distance.
But you could, yeah.
I see, because that line that that right of way showed crossed a lot of your land.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it goes the whole length, but
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, it hinders them more than it does me, except for the fact that I don't want to.
You have to look at
my neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so look at me once, in a while, going off.
Yeah, but you're usually maintaining the right of way, so I'm wondering, that's wonderful. But anyway,
fantastic.
I
Well,
follow that logic. Yeah. Langaren would actually like if the
I would think.
laid out right of way didn't go past his house, the
Yeah.
brother's house, and turned
I would
to the
think so.
south and went to Howland.
Yes.
You know, and if there is an as,
Just below our right of way, you got a road that goes right through there.
yeah,
Right along here.
Right.
Really, you had a log, you can go right along it and then take a right at the end, goes right up there.
Yeah, it's the old Bass Trail.
Yeah.
Came through there. That's
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's, and so he still keeps that as a
Walking path.
walking path. So, yeah, there is access.
that's the Ladges.
That if you went up to Lake Garens,
Okay, you go up to like,
you'd hit the
Ladges
Bass
to-
Trail
to
that would
Lake
cross Howland's
to-
property.
to the old vast trail that would cross Howland's property. The vast, so the vast trail used to go across Howland's property.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, it goes across oranges.
yeah, yeah.
Well, they don't use it now.
Yeah, that's the,
They still use it, but they don't grow.
doesn't look like it.
They don't use it.
I went on it last weekend. Someone come down, I went up, ain't good.
Well, but there's more sign of use than what was proposed on the most recent plans, like there was never anything through there.
You're talking about the current vast trail, which goes across the Bourne parcel. Yeah, okay,
They use it once in a while, but they don't maintain it.
yeah.
new bridge in there though. That's a new bridge down there.
Yeah, but they won't groom it.
Oh,
Someone else drove down through and I said, well, I'm going up to see if I can get to camp. I got it.
Yeah, okay. Is it too steep, do you suppose? Is that why they don't groom it?
It ain't that steep. I think it's wet. It's wet in there.
It is
The whole
wet.
trail is all wet.
I don't think it ever got a lot of use anyways.
Cause they got a bypass trail now,
Right.
Yeah, there's other better trails to get to the same place.
but you stay off the road if you use that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
You only gotta cross the bridge and that's it, and get on the trail again, you're there.
It's a nice little trail, I
It
gotta
is
say.
nice. It
It's
is
a
nice.
nice trail.
It is nice.
Yeah,
But it's gonna freeze before they can do that one long stripe on top.
yep. That's it. And from what was the Colette property at the end of the Howlands, where we had our wood trail go through, there is a road, a logging road that goes from there to the Bass Trail. That,
and when you say
Right.
the Colette property, that's
That's the pond.
next to Trevor's or, oh, is
that's
the pond the 40 acres?
The 40 acres below.
Uh,
And so there is a log road that goes along to the top of the ridge all the way out to the Bass Trail.
Across the 40 acres, across the Colette, yeah, okay,
So, the thought everyone's putting trails in, that's the only, there's a trail possibility
Yeah.
out to there.
Yeah, remember across that ridge here.
And it's only just that right across the top of the ridge, your property line, and then that's straight down, but there is a path through there.
all right, well, I think we've covered as much as we can get to on that stuff. And we got other cool stuff that Luke's been working on about projects. So, let's see. How do you, Luke?
Yeah, okay, so, the Clean Water Service Program. That's, that, Chris, yeah, that's, that is it's a program that we're trying to pursue to reclaim some of our forest roads, roads that are eroding directly into the river. Under the premise that there's phosphorus load. And this is a funding pool that's allocated towards the Lake Champlain Basin to reduce phosphorus. And it's somewhat of a cumbersome process. Quite a few of the board members have been involved. And last fall, we went out, we inventoried some stuff. We engaged one of our foresters from the state, Silas Rainville. He provided us with a hydrant connectivity assessment to say what was hydrically connected. And then we had the Lamoille Conservation District Director, Peter Danforth, who was going to spearhead this for us and push it through. And I went and tried to find him 2 weeks ago and found out he had left the building. And so I followed up with some other people and they're like, Wolcott, what? So I've been trying to catch it up now. And we have a deadline of March 12th to get an application in. And it's a mess, but that's where we are. And we're trying to get something together. And so, what that funding will do for us is it'll reclaim the roads that are actively eroding into the river. So close them, big water bars, out slopes, stabilize them. Stabilize them for future use and then actually close them if they're poorly placed. And there is a section where it's, 35 degree grade headed straight down. Big dug way, you could never get turnouts, anything like that. So we'll just close those out. And then where roads go through the saddle on the Bourne parcel. So the main chunk, you got the 40 acres up here, main chunk. There's a lot of bullywood in the stream and one of the main streams. And they'll pay for us to come and pull that bullywood out to get this channels running back. That's a practice that is used in silviculture logging. It's customary, you need it. But it's nice if you actually are legally required to come back, open those channels back up. That's never happened. So this is what that funding would do. It enable us to open that back up. Yeah, I wish I had better news for everybody. It's kind of on the fence right now. Because they're trying to play catch up. Yeah.
Okay, so what I hear is, well, there's work we ought to do. Because if we don't do it, there's a lot of erosion that's going to happen, and it's bad for water quality and it's bad for our woods because it's erosion.
Yeah,
and there was a source of money. We're chasing some money that would do it for us. We got to get the application done by the 12th, and nobody, you're working on it, but the other support you were trying for to help get that taken care of has disappeared, and so it's pretty much at risk at this point as to whether we'll even be able to get the application in by the 12th.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then from our other conversation, you said that there maybe was some other possibilities in the works behind that, or is that?
Yeah. So, yep.
Not happening?
So that's funding the option one, and that only has to do with water issues that have the potential of bringing phosphorus into the Lake Champlain Basin. So funding option two is through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And they have funding allotments that they give out to their partner organizations, one of which is the Rough Grouse Association and the National Turkey Federation. Those are two wildlife groups that are all about wildlife habitat, ecological restoration projects, flora and fauna. And there's a funding allotment that was going to go to another project and got a little screwy. And if we can get our ducks in a row in time, we can be eligible for a bunch of funding. And this latest allotment, there can be more to come. I was on the phone with their New England Conservation Director this afternoon, and they just love the parcel. They love where it is. The size, different habitats. But this immediate allotment has to be spent by the end of September, which is a little problematic for some of the stuff. I had gone through and just brain mapped a bunch of practices. Is there a map? Can we get a map up? That would be good if we could.
The problem, let me see what I can do. I'm gonna try and join the meeting, which will cause echoes. For one thing, and need somebody to be at the keyboard up here.
Yeah. So I'd gone through and brain mapped the entire parcel and created something like 30 different conservation practices, ranging everywhere from riparian plantings to climate adaptive plantings up on the Tinney lot, to different sections of forest road that needs to be closed, to pioneer succession cuts up on the low density shelter wood that never took in regeneration. And then 2 different forest trail reroutes, one of which runs along the bank of Whitcomb Brook. It's right in the stream reach, needs to be moved up. The other which is at the top of the Bass Trail, which runs kind of through the vernal pools and discharges and is always wet. So it creates, access issues there.
So this is all stuff that is in addition to what you had identified for the other.
Yeah, so the other one is just for phosphorus reduction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's different money, they've got different objectives, and you can, and so you're looking at a bunch of different things that we might try to do.
Totally. Yep.
Okay.
Some of which have already been kiboshed, if you will.
And different types of management, right? I mean, if it's wildlife versus phosphorus reduction, that's.
Yeah, so like the rerouting the Bass Trail. No, that's not their wheelhouse, not doing it.
Alright.
But if so, like there's a ford crossing that can be directly associated with getting to the patch cut locations. Okay, if we have engineering plans and get an alteration permit, we're good. Of course, there's hiccups with everything. I think that this is going to need an IPAC review, which is a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service review, and it might trigger the Indiana bat and the tricolored bat, which kills us for the cut growing, which makes our cutting window really, really small. So we might not have time to do it by September 1st. So there's some pieces, but some of the low hanging fruit, riparian planting all day long, definitely. PSI on so timber stand improvement, crop tree release on the white pine plantation, definitely that's easy to execute. Adaptive planting up on the Tinney parcel, and then close out on the road that goes up the hill from 14 across from the Tinney's compound there near the river. It shoots up. Yeah, so that can be closed out. So there's definitely some low hanging fruit so that stuff, we'd have to make a motion. The board would have to make a motion that they want to pursue that stuff. And then, the rollout would be, we'd have a map, we'd have planning documents, and we'd have a budget. And we'd sign an agreement with whichever entity is going to fund us. And then, when we can request advance funds. So some of the stuff is going to require, like the riparian planting, something, it's like 2,900 plants. That's a lot, so that's some money. And if people don't have like a supply of vegetative propagules right now, we'll have to go to a nursery. So that, adds up fast. And we probably want like grow tubes. So that's expensive. It's like $15 per tube now with state. So, yeah.
I'd like to thank it.
So coming. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for coming. That's fine.
Thanks for making time.
Yeah, so we had the pioneer establishment work. That's where we get successional resets on areas where it's just, poor quality forest. It diversifies the forest structure, brings in wildlife. There's, a whole lot of stuff we can do for that. And then I put in some chop and drop, and I'm not really sure. That's just kind of testing the waters, some chop and drop polygons to push some stands towards old growth characteristics. That will give us funds to do that. It wouldn't be extraction based. But there's been a lot of, especially out of UVM, Vermont just loves old growth, and we do a lot of practice forests on it. So there's models we can cover. So, we'd have parameters. So per acre, X amount of trees on the ground, large coarse woody material left, small, lower strata regeneration release, things like that to emulate old forests. Some of these areas, it's kind of a shame that we don't get in there and take some of the wood out. Because it would be win-win, but we don't have any infrastructure right now, and we don't have any access right now. And the infrastructure that we do have is an absolute mess. And if we run on it, then we own it, and we're really going to have discharge. So, kind of a tricky spot to be in.
So,
Oh yeah. So if you see the table, so 2026 conservation practices. So you've got like ecological restoration cuts, 1 to 17. There's some different, on the other side, there'd be,
Yeah, Luke, I want to interrupt you and kind of take this back up because you've shared a lot of details.
Okay.
And if we start diving into all of these details, I want to make sure that I've got the big picture and we've all got it. So originally we were talking about doing reclamation work to prevent erosion. Now we've got another funding source that can do a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And could we just do the erosion prevention
Well, certainly.
work? And so then if I'm understanding right, let me frame it as a question. Can we kind of pick and choose? Can we set our priorities and just like try to?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, certainly.
And okay. Fantastic.
We want to get the attention of our funder though, Courtney.
Okay.
Yeah. If we just say, hey, we want to plant an alderbush, they'll be like, okay. We're going to a WMA in the Champlain Valley. See ya.
Okay. So we should pick the things that we feel are important, and we should pick things which, as you say, get the attention of the funder that meet the objectives. I mean, the funders have a reason why they're out there giving away money, and so if we're supporting what they want to do, so they're likely to give us money. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things that we could do.
Yep.
And you're recommending that we do all of them because they kind of all need to be done, or
they won't fund them all. I'm just giving options
okay.
of things that could be done. Like the different reroutes. Like this is the Bass Trail reroute. These are mapped native wetlands. Okay, there's vernal pools through here. I didn't have that in, but actually, this is the vernal pools. These are vernal pools. Okay, this is in the deeded documents.
That's the ecological protection zone.
Yeah, and then this is the reserve forest. 25 is the reserve forest, and it's largely white ash. So we're going to have uncontrolled decline, and we're not going to be able to use silviculture once that hits. Right now, we have the opportunity of using that silviculture. These patch cuts right here, this is where there's a low density shelter wood that took place, and there was a regeneration catch. So now what we have is we have a low basal area around 60 square feet per acre basal area, poor quality red maple with no regeneration in the understory. It's all wood fern, Felix fem. It's a alleliopathic wood fern that's not allowing stuff to come up. So it's kind of a dead forest. And this would breathe life into it. And then if we this right here, these dots, this is those are the hydro-connected forest roads. It is going to go through a Quisp.
Hey, Luke?
Yeah.
Do you mind calling out the section by number when you're talking? I just can't see what you're pointing to.
No problem. Yep. Yeah. So so areas at 23, 21, 20, and 17. So those are patch cuts, different parameters for each, depending on what species we're targeting. But that's where we have shelter wood conditions that didn't meet the regeneration objectives behind that cut. And then down on Whitcomb Brook, I believe this is called 31. that's a Ford. And
That's,
that,
Roger, that's the big blue, that's the, white circle with the blue arrow in the middle of it.
yeah, so that's where, machinery
Got
is. Yeah, so machinery's crossed there forever. It's one of our primary access points, but it's not a stabilized access. So we have continued head wall erosion going into the brook. It's not stabilized. So funding would enable us to put down like a non-woven geotextile and then put probably like a 1 foot minus quarry stone on top of that to stabilize it. We could use it for anything really. And then this road here, it's an old forest trail that's within the stream reach. Okay, so if we use it, boom, we're gonna discharge. So that's a reroute up here. So that's 31. And then we have 30. Don't know what that is.
Reaching up to the top of the screen, that's, okay, now it'll move
So
for me.
30. This is where the vast trail goes through and needs to be rerouted. I right away, both funding sources, they won't touch that. Just so, but I still put it on there. So it's nice to know what it is and where it is. And then
When you say reroute, you're talking about like move it to a whole nother route through the forest, or you mean just move it 20, 30 feet off to the side?
20, 30 feet. Yeah, so we don't have, so it's not aggregating aggregating water and dumping it all into those vernal pools. Like we saw, it's not effective. And I don't think.
So it would change, it would move the vast trail slightly, but it wouldn't change it completely. Somebody going through in a snowmobile might say, oh, it's a little different, but they're gonna recognize it.
Certainly. Yeah, that's right, Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's a stretch in there where you're going along and you're right below a ledge outcrop on the downside of that ledge outcrop. All you need to do is hop over 20 feet and get up on top of it. That kind of stuff. Let's see here. So if we could go down,
You wanna see, let me see if,
further down.
is that what you want?
No, the other way.
Other way down.
Okay, so this is one of Dave's. I got this from him by way of Silas. This riparian planting. So this is an abandoned pasture.
16
Yeah,
down at
16.
the bottom of the map. Yep.
Yes, it's actually a practice 33. If we were to go up to our table, that's way up here. 33.
33 is, down, most of the way down, third one, bottom.
Well, 31, I guess it's 31.
Ford
Okay,
Street.
shrub and tree planting right here. Riparian planting, shrub and tree planting.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so down here along this brook, so this is area 16 is an abandoned pasture. So there's not woody vegetation established. So along this brook, which is trout habitat, well-known trout habitat, we'd put riparian plants along it. We could even go up to some, bigger trees, start out with, we could have fun, it'd be great. Put a nice order in. This is low hanging fruit. They love it. Okay, why not? And it needs to be done. It's continually eroding. It's not stable. The only thing that's gonna is I did see there's a invasive bamboo along that bank. I don't think it's on the far end though, which is a little concerning. But yeah,
Like the knotweed, is that what you mean?
knotweed. Yeah. I think there is knotweed there, but not on this side. And then let's see here, we have area 26. So area 26, that's a white pine plantation. It's in suppression. So when it gets to suppression, it gets sick. White pines stay healthy by desiccation, air moving through. So it's going to be full of needle cast, Klebsiella. If pine blister rust gets in there, those spores are going to burst and spread like wildfire. So it needs a basic crop tree release. So that's whatever our quadratic spacing is between our crop trees, we just pick each tree and release the canopy. Over here near this parking lot on number 23, that's a really nice apple orchard. There's beautiful standard apples there, and they're kind of ignored. That's great stock, you know, somebody planted those, those don't look like just root suckers. So they should be released in some head cuts. Why not? And we'll have funding to pay somebody to do it. And then we've got this Gates Farm Road here. I think that's Gates Farm Road. So that's a long shot. Okay, it's a town road. It's a weird spot. It's a class 4 road. But if it's associated with the practice, we could get funding. The policy behind it, yeah, that might be too much of a pain for us. But right now it's a dugway. You can't use it for anything. Technically, it's not up to the better road standards, so it's not really supposed to be in that condition and have a class 4 label on it. But anyway, so that's something. Over here, we have this road, the old tinny access that comes up from 14. That needs at least water bars or maybe belter girders, so it's stable. You know, silviculture could be staged up here, and this is where that area is full of hawthorn and apples and some other shrub stuff. We could go and clear that out with mulch it down, or you know, keep coarse woody material as high as possible, not chips, but just get stuff on the ground and then go through that area and do adaptive planting for you know, more warmer type species. Get some shagbark hickories in there, maybe, you know, stuff like that, maybe some white oaks, they'll take. So it would just be fabulous. Up in here, this is kind of poor quality, mid-rotation pasture type stuff. That would be successional reset to get nice lower brows. We don't have lower brows in there. Animal need feed. And then up in here, this is Dave, one that I got from him. So that area, it's all even age spruce, and there's nothing in the understory. And that would create a nice low, it would enable us to get a lower strata regeneration catch. We probably wouldn't get into other species. I don't think there's a seed bank there, but we would stay, you know, at least with the gymnosperms. So spruce or balsam. So, and then we have, these are deer yards, by the way. That's what these are. The red dots, okay. Those are rare and uncommon species, herbaceous plants, I believe, herbaceous plants. So
the red dots are things that Matt Peters found.
That's correct.
And the deer yards are like, the number 11 is right in the middle of one of them. That's the green cross hatching.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just figured I'd throw it on there. I should. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's helpful to have that stuff. I'm calling it out for Roger, who's
Okay.
unable to see when you're moving your hands over.
Yeah, and then more forest roads, area 3 and 4. Those are forest road arteries that really need to be reclamated. They're critical for us. Right now, we can't touch them. If we do, we'll have a direct, immediate discharge. It's all head cuts and all incised. You know, we need to reshape them and then get that water going where it needs to be. You do that, leave it for a year, and then you come back and it's a great road. You can use it for whatever you want, and we need it for management. So.
Which stream did you mention had the bullywood in it that should be?
Right in the saddle. So if we can go up, yeah, so these are the hydro-connected roads right here. So this is where that bullywood is. It's all in here. Okay. And then the dots are actually, that's an inventory that Silas Rainville did with us. He's one of our watershed foresters. I don't know their procedure to determine if it's a kind of, it's not intuitive. Let's just say that. So I got that layer from him to put on here. And unfortunately, I can't apply for 2 different funding sources for the same practice, or I'll automatically be nixed. So I got to say one or the other. And so since we started with Quisp, I'm staying with Quisp. I guess we'll just wait. And if we miss March 12th, we'll try for the next funding cycle. I don't know why they wouldn't fund that relative to the other, projects that are being funded.
Is this all the documentation they would need?
Nope. So each one of these practices would need a practice sheet describing it with parameters. We have to amend our forest management plan. Emily is very supportive of it. I've shared this app to her. I asked for her input before I shared it with anybody else. She did write the forest management plan for this parcel and is our county forester. I respect that. And so, you know, each one of these, we'd have practice parameters. So, you know, area 25, you know, chop and drop, you know, 5 trees per acre, you know, of such and such on the ground or whatever. I'm kind of new to the old growth parameters, as most of us are. The patch cuts, it would be, you know, how many 10% of our trees would be reserved, feathered edges, you know, brush piles, things like that, you know, how coarse the material is, different, you know, factors that make it enticing for whatever species we're after.
Actually, about two acres or so.
Well, 2 acres is a minimum if you're funding it through, like the EQIP program, NRCS. We're not eligible for EQIP because we're a town forest. It would town forests and like state lands or federal lands, we don't get that funding. Yeah, but yeah, so these actually, we can make them smaller. So like 23, that's, you know, less than 2 acres, 21, I think is 2. Those, we wanted, that stuff, those I was thinking would be targeted toward amphibian habitat because we really don't have that there. Because of that past low density shelter wood that was where we had, you know, all that biomass being removed from the site. There really isn't much on the ground. And that's, you know, extremely important. This here would be more for browse, ungulated browse, deer, moose, bear in the summertime. Yep. That's the grouse habitat.
So what we have to discuss and decide is, you know, do we like this idea? Do we want to pursue some or all of this? And then if, you know, say, go, Luke, if we decide to do this, I'm hearing, you know, you've spent all of this time already, and essentially I'm hearing you volunteering your time to continue to do this, which is, you know, we've got a top of the line professional forester coming in, walking our property and making recommendations for ecological treatment.
Well, you know, some of these practices, I was hoping that if they get funded, folks on the board can adopt them, say, I want this, you know, I'll manage this. That'd be great. You know, spread it out. Some of it's pretty logical, you know. Yeah.
Just for my note taking, what's the name of this grant program? The second one you've been talking.
Yeah, so it would be through the Rough Grouse Association and National Turkey Federation. Yeah, they would be the ones. The money is actually coming somewhere else, but that's they're the ones we're dealing.
You approached them.
Yeah.
Okay, not.
Look, I'm just curious, I'm not ready to commit to anything, but is there stuff up near bordering my property that's in need of action?
So that would be basically, see if I can move this here. So Trevor, your property comes, I think.
I haven't been able to make sense of the map yet, so I
think
can't.
It's right. Is
that
it
blue circle
these blue circles?
Okay.
at the top of the screen.
Okay, so what we were talking about is the 40-acre piece with the pond.
Yep.
The pond is right there. I'm moving my mouse over. You probably can't see my mouse moving, but next to the number 2, there's a blue circle, which is the pond.
Okay.
And then the
Pretty much where your cursor is Trevor's more there in Furlands is.
Yeah, if you go straight up, there's a locust map. Keep going.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can zoom in anymore.
Yeah, sorry, there's that right of way there. I got rid of it on the other one. Oh, geez.
Yeah, see that red line?
You can maintain that if you want.
Oh, gosh.
So I don't need an answer on it right now. I just,
Yeah,
I'm curious.
yeah, I haven't got up there much in that.
I mean-
I haven't got up on that area.
Trevor, I think your property is, well, it's right about where my cursor is.
Okay.
Comes into here, and I think Tony Smith's, so here's, down here is Whitcomb Brook, right? There's a red line and my cursor's moving over the top of it. There's a real light blue line, but it's the softwood trees, the darker green on the map. And so it goes off to the left-hand side.
Goes up to Tony Smith's
Yeah.
wetlands.
So nothing right next to your property there. So, folks, what do y'all think about what we're hearing?
Doesn't seem like we would be able to make the March 12th deadline. Given what you said we need to do, change, the forest management plan and get Emily involved in all these other things that you have to, expand on.
Yeah, so the March 12th deadline is for request. That's
Oh.
for the phosphorus reduction forest roads. And so we started that process in the fall, and our contact with the conservation district went belly up. So we're trying to pick the pieces up with that.
One of the things with why we started down that road was because we had been talking about trying to get phase 2 of trail building into the northern side of the Bourne parcel. And that's where a lot of these where the erosion has happened. I'm still really interested in doing what we can to open up that section, because it's basically right out here, right? And the rail trail is all along the bottom. The Westover parcel that the town now owns because of the FEMA buyout is right there. And from my perspective, we'll have the kiosk. We maybe are getting the cafe out here. And for people to be able to come hang out in the cafe, be around the village, be able to get out here and go for a walk in the woods up there, and have more access into that space. It's accessible from the town. From my perspective, I think it's a good priority for us to be looking to improve recreational access to that part of the woods as a priority. So, the erosion remediation on those forest roads still really does seem like a priority. The rest of the stuff to me sounds great.
Sure.
So I'm an opportunist. It's a good idea, and it's going to make
It's an
it better.
opportunity. I don't know if it'll come our way again.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say no to anything, but on the other hand, I have to keep my job and my family and everything else too. So we got to be careful how much we get ourselves into.
Luke, I just wanted, you've got an awful lot of in-depth information here. I just wanted to say thank you again, because this just looks amazing in terms of the amount of work that you've put into this so far. And I want to kind of keep moving forward on it, but it is a little bit overwhelming. So just a couple of points of clarity. In terms of the funding source through the Rough Grouse Association, Wild Turkey Foundation, is the funding, does that support infrastructure that would lead us to be able to access these areas? Or is that something that we would have to build in first or as part of the overarching plan? I'm just not quite sure the amount of funding that's available.
Yeah, so I had that discussion today with their conservation director, and it sounds to me that reclamation practices that are directly associated with the wildlife practice would be eligible. So if we have to fix a section of forest road to get to a place where we're doing a practice for wildlife, game on. If we have a standalone vast trail that we just want to move, not happening. Yeah.
Now, based on the associations, is this something that is kind of like a precursor to kind of essentially creating a habitat for wildlife that hunting organizations are going to be interested in? Is that kind of the association here? Or is it more just biodiversity, or is it kind of both?
Yeah, this is biodiversity. I believe their allotment is coming from NIFWIF, the National Fish and Wildlife Association. And that's not specifically hunting organizations. That's conservation organizations, hunters and naturalists alike. They're one and the same.
Okay. And yeah, I wasn't necessarily trying to create any kind of distinction. I just was trying to figure out what priority or what lens they've kind of assessed the project on.
Yep.
And you said if we were going to submit this, what is kind of like the hard deadline for it?
Well, they're pretty flexible.
One?
The deadline is more when the money has to get spent, and that's what I was trying to tease out today. If it's it's the end of September. Okay, so September 2026. And I'm trying to figure out if do we have to have it obligated by then? So like maps done, job sheets done, an agreement signed. Or does it have to be like the work is done? And there's some uncertainty there. Yeah. And actually, if the work has to be done by the end of September, some of the practices like the patch cuts, I don't think we can do, because those will have to get run through an additional review for critical habitat, and that takes a while. And this area is now part of some critical bat habitat, so it's going to make our cutting season basically from April 1st all the way to the end of October. It's like a no cut window, so basically it pushes our cutting down in the small wintertime, and contractors are booked. It's not happening this winter. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
So worst case scenario, we'll only be able to do like some closeout on some forest roads, riparian planting, adaptive planting on the Tinney parcel. And then the chop and drop is that's not really a definite either. That's something I'm trying to work out. Yeah.
Old growth.
Yeah. Yeah, because we can't do extraction. And I mean, it is a nightmare once that beetle hits that wood. You cannot touch it. I mean, you can't be near it. You bump it with a tractor and you're taking your life in your own hands. So you really got to get in there before it takes hold.
And these are places where it would be, some of them are places where it would be really good to get trails and stuff like that. So it would be good to be able to do that if we can.
Sure.
It seems like some of the projects you've outlined on the Bedell section are accessible and therefore perhaps more easy to accomplish.
So they're sort of accessible. I mean, Gates Farm Road is kind of a mess.
Yeah, but you can get to the upper end of it and you can cure a lot of it.
Yep.
And I mean, you can get to that pine plantation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that would be a good one to get done. Because
And we could have a patch cut like we were talking about above that Kinney plot.
Yep.
You
Yeah, that's an easy one. The IPAC review won't trigger stuff that's under 4 inches. So Tinney is maybe. I mean, there's definitely some outliers, but it's the average.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in support of whatever we can do to improve it. Just feels like every time I start to look at these things, you just hear how the woods in Vermont are just not that great right now. There's kind of that, just so much even aged, and poor management, decades now. And so whatever we can do to improve it, I am definitely all for it myself.
Awesome. Let's breathe some life into it.
Yeah.
Get it cleaned up.
And I know it's easy to say, and I know it's, but, yeah, if you're on board and you're willing and you're already starting this work, I'll say I'll do as much as I can too. I mean, hit me up and,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're not like making a motion right now, but
May as well. Yeah, I checked Robert's Rules of Order, just to say this, for small boards, which are considered, I think, under 12. The chair, on large boards, the advice is the chair should not make motions and should not participate in discussion. In small boards, it's fine for the chair to make a motion according to the research I did on Robert's Rules. So I'm going to make a motion that we that the Stewardship Committee requests Luke to pursue as much of this ecological treatment as you find feasible. And with a focus on the areas that we've identified for recreation. That would be the northern side of the Bourne parcel, and things on the northern side of the Bedell parcel. And a secondary focus on the river on the Bedell parcel, area 16 or area 31. So the plantings around the river.
Okay, yep, repairing planting, yep.
So, but the pine forest, the patch cut on number 19, the tinny.
That's a cool spot.
So
That is a very cool spot.
those are the primary focus areas. That's my motion.
Can it, just to make sure that it's included maybe in the motion, Gordon, where are the problematic ash stands on the map?
Problematic ash stands are identified on the map. Going clockwise from the upper left, it's number 24, which is next to the big number 2. Moving clockwise, it's 23.
Right, so it's included in the area that you just mentioned. Got it.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. I second.
And so, I mean, I have heard, there's a market ring for ash.
It's an amazing market, and it's unsatiable. There's a lot of money out there in ash for the town. If we could get to it, I'm telling you. There's no hard restriction down to 10 inches, 1,100, 1,000. I mean, they're taking it up to 5 inches sweet right now, which is unheard of. Yeah,
Where's it going?
over the pond. Yeah, it's going into Can-X boxes and gets put on a boat. Yep.
So the motion is to pursue this, pursue these ecological treatments and funding thereof with priorities as mentioned. Motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion?
I was just gonna say, so if you can't extract because you can't access it or whatever it is, but so you could, the chop and drop, the old growth, that's your next, or that's an option as well. So
Yep, that's right. Get ahead of it.
Leave it. You cut them all, or do you leave some?
It's just some of them.
Some
Yeah, the
of them.
canopy gaps, it's, old growth forest is a complex, assemblage of contiguous canopy and canopy gaps and, lower strata, vegetation, different stratas, that's the uneven age. So where we have areas of advanced regeneration, we could do chop and drop around those, things like that. Yeah, areas where there's nothing, we do scarification to try to get, seed bank, stuff like that. Yeah. I would follow Bill Keaton's work because he's done it in Vermont. Yeah.
Well, I'm all for it. Pursuing this. If that we agree to reimburse Luke for some of his work, because he's a professional forester and he has these contacts. And it's a shame not to reimburse him for doing some of this work. That's my opinion.
Yeah, thanks, but yeah, I was thinking what the conservation director on the phone said to me for some of the technical stuff where it has to be managed by a forester. He said I can put a line item in for myself. So for like the Fords where there's engineering plans and then a lot of oversight or layout, there can or Emily or Silas. But at the onset, yeah, you just need somebody to volunteer. I mean, that's what it's all about. I get it. Yeah. See what your options are. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to physically talk to like PNR Lumber, have them look at that pine plantation and tell me if he would buy any of it or if it has to go to a chipper.
So that's, and so that's downstream of whether we pass the motion or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if there's a way we can get rid of it and break even, why not?
Mhm.
The other thing is,
We'll get paid. We'll get paid to do it. So the allotment for that is something like 600 an acre. So it would basically, in that stuff, we wouldn't even want to get it down. We could just slash it, let it sit there and let it come down on its own. It's not a size that's going to pose risk to anybody. So it would be a release from above. So you look up, okay, that's my crop tree. Okay, there's my tree size, slash, slash, slash. Then walk and basis, okay, here's my next one. Okay, slash, slash, slash. Just leave it. Yeah. And then, the trick is going to be finding good people to do the work.
you're saying girdle it or cut them down?
Just slash them like that. I mean, you could do it. You could girdle, I guess, but slashing is faster.
That's enough to
Yeah.
kill them, you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Cut it. Cut the whole thing.
Oh,
You can do that up to a 5-6 inch tree. I see. They're not very big over there, are they?
Some of them are big.
Are they? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so girdle.
Got it, just,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Unless we just let it lay down.
So the motion, the motion is to request Luke to go ahead and pursue the funding as discussed for priorities as discussed. The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think, the points that people are raising, I think they're all valid, but I think that they're nuances to be discussed once we get into the work. And, we just need to get started on it. Hence my rushing the motion along. And any other questions or, comments anybody wants to make with respect to the proposals that Luke's put on the table?
Just one question. Luke, you had mentioned that Emily would have to amend the forestry management plan
Most
to
certainly.
do some of
Yep.
these things, so
Yep. But she wouldn't have to amend it if she didn't want to. We could,
somebody
somebody
needs
would.
to amend. Yeah,
I think. I
so
mean, I would assume it's not in current use, but
Would
yeah,
that-
we
would
would
that-
want to take the trail.
timing be occurring at the same time your work is going on, or does that come after?
Yeah, it would come after. Yeah, so the practice parameters would basically be a silvicultural prescription.
Yeah.
And that would be adopted by that plan. So we just create a signature page, whoever signs that. Who signed the forest management plan?
Well, Emily did.
Yeah,
And I guess
I mean, at the time that she made the plan, the property was still owned by the former landowners.
Okay.
because the plan was referenced in our stewardship plan, which was a necessary document for us to have in order to proceed with the whole, the acquisition.
Okay.
So, the conservation easement requires us to have a stewardship plan, forest management plan.
Yeah.
With all of the things, all the usual stuff that needs to be maintained, and whatever practices we do need to be in accordance with the plan as outlined. Not a professional forester, but I think as we were talking to Emily, we were instructing our intentions for the plan were primarily around recreation and, ecological treatment, wildlife, forest health, and so forth. And what I'm hearing you propose is entirely in line with that, conservation, forest health,
Very much.
wildlife. So, based on that, I assume that this is fundamentally in line with what's already documented in our forestry plan. And the work would be to double check, do the due diligence to make sure that it's in alignment. And then if there's any variance, we bring it back for discussion.
Well, our funder would require basically spec sheets for each area. So a prescription for each area.
Yep.
Yeah, and then that we would want to incorporate into the plan. Yeah. And somebody would have to sign it.
Yeah, I think that would be Emily.
Well, the license who's providing would have to sign it.
Yeah.
So Emily's a license, I'm a license.
Yeah.
And then the landowner would have to sign it.
Yeah.
So who's the landowner?
The town.
Okay, so then
This
somebody
one.
from the town has to sign it.
Yeah. Okay.
But this would have to go up to the select board for approval.
Ultimately, yeah. All right. We have one more item on the agenda for the night, and we're running over a little bit. We started a little bit late. This will be fairly quick. The item is held over, brought up in our last meeting. When we were discussing the budget, the question arose, what restrictions on the grant money provided to us by TPL when as they conveyed the property. So there's roughly, I think it's $37,000 that's available in the grant. And I could take a minute and probably dig up the document, but specifically the money is restricted for the use for to support the objectives of the town forest. So we can't go spend the money to help build the bridge or build a new school or tax relief or other things. We have to use the money to further the purposes of the town forest. Essentially, that's it means that the things that we've been discussing, such as bollards in front of the bridge, trail signage, all of these kinds of things are exactly within the scope as intended. Conservation practices, management practices, things that we might need to have some seed money for, as long as they're contributing to the ongoing maintenance and improvement of the town forest. That's what the money's for. So, and Roger, for the sake of the minutes, I think if you're not CC'd already on the documentation that I got from Kate, I will definitely forward it to you, and it's probably already on the Google Drive, but I'll send you the link.
Yeah, Gordon, I already dropped it in the share folder, so it's in there. Anybody could look at it. Yeah, it just to back you up, it says pretty much exactly what you just said.
Cool. So any questions on that one? Right, the last item was actually kind of a loop back to talking about conservation projects. So we talked about them, we passed a motion. And that takes us to the end of the agenda.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Your map that was up there, is that on the town website or?
It's in the Google share file. Do you have access to that, Jack?
I don't think so. Last time I tried, I didn't have access.
I'll forward a copy to you.
Okay, thank you.
I think we should have access, but
I know I did it one time, but then I had trouble once, so I don't know how to interpret it, whether I still have access.
okay.
Yeah, so Gordon, over the next month, when I write up job sheets and specs, and then vote them by the conservation director, who do I send them to you and say, Gordon, this is the parameter, this is what we want to do, and then are you going to be able to say yes? We like it, go for it, because I need to be able to say back to them, okay, yes, we're going to do this.
Okay.
Because then they need to say, yep, okay, we've got this obligated, we're putting it this account. And then our next meeting in the next month coming up, hopefully we'd have some kind of document that we can sign, or somebody you would sign, I guess.
Well, so the signing authority for the town should be the select board.
Okay.
If you need a firm commitment, what I think what we need to do is go before the next select board meeting and tell them what the forest committee has agreed to, and make sure that they're on board with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay.
In terms of, details, I mean, we've talked through all of the things that you have here on the map. If you're going to do anything radically different than what we've already talked about, that's not what we talked about.
Yep.
But everything that you've laid out here, we've all had a chance to look at it, comment on it.
Okay.
So go forth.
Okay. Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else we need to talk about as official part of the meeting? All right. In that case, I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We adjourned.
Hey, I'm gonna say another thank you because I feel like I'm the ones that made you guys run late this evening, so I apologize for keeping you on.
Trevor, this isn't too far out of the ordinary, so you don't have to feel too bad.
Thank you.
I appreciate you bringing the guest.
Yeah.
Furling's
Yeah,
great.
No, she,
You can't beat that. No, that's just,
no.
that's gold. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Roger.